Post every day. Consistency is key. Use the right hashtags. Check up on your mom. Drive your granny to the doctor. Tell him that you've knocked off at work. Feed the baby. Leave water for the dog. Send your report to the boss. First million before 30. Is the glue not showing? Is the lace visible? Check up on your friend and ask if she still needs the 100 rand. Network. Read. Exercise. Drink your water. Take your vitamins.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Ensure that you condition your natural hair.
Yeah,
Sleep
we
with
probably
the
have
bonnet.
heard that before on
cry.
Instagram. That's Cinnabon Bun, and that's a trending video of her listing of all these personal development things that we have to get right in a day, and it can be overwhelming. Just listening to that gives me just like heart palpitations.
I'm overwhelmed right now. I just want to go home and sleep.
All right, that's what we're talking about there, personal development fatigue. If you've ever felt like you constantly like chasing the next level, like you have to do something more outside of yourself to feel like you are attaining this euphoric idea of success. That's where we are in this world. There's almost like an expectation to do something extra to make of yourself. And so much of this can be advice that's coming from everywhere. Today we are talking about why striving for progress all the time can actually leave you feel drained, and how you can actually balance out that emotional burnout. Helping us on this one is Kgaogelo Photoane, who is a life coach. Kgaogelo, welcome on the show. I hope that you don't have the same heart palpitations after we heard Cinnabon Bun there on that TikTok video.
No, not at all. Not at all. Hey guys, it's been a long time.
It has. It's good chatting to you. Let's talk a little bit about this because
I'm excited to be here too.
Sure. No, it's great to have you. Let's talk about this whole thing, because we always have an expectation to be better people. I think that's only natural, right? But at times the list just keeps going on and on and on. There's so many life development blogs out there, podcasts, and at sometimes you have to regulate, I feel. But how do you know that you're over consuming all this advice and all these steps to success?
When your growth development is not in line with your wellness. It's so important to understand that in order for you to feel like you're progressing, it has to be in line with your wellness. It has to be in line with what you deem as well. So if you're constantly pushing, but you are tired, you are burnt out, you're not sleeping enough, it tends to feel overwhelming. You start feeling overwhelmed, you have difficulty concentrating, you start feeling like you're stuck, even though you are working really hard. So I think people need to listen to their bodies and understand that being productive should not affect your well-being altogether. Your emotional, physical, mental well-being should not be affected because you're trying to be progressive, because that's counterproductive.
Yeah. Wanting to be a progressive is part of the human experience. And really, it's not just about, people giving us advice, but it feels like the world is moving at a very fast pace right now. We have our hands in so many pots at the same time. And social media doesn't make it any easier, because you see people doing so well in their lives, and you see them, recommending the things that have made them feel better. And like, oh yeah, I think I'll try that. And then you want to try another thing and this and the other. And all of those things, as you're trying to progress, can actually weigh very heavily on you. Let's just speak about personal development on its own, right? Has this phrase been taken too far as an overdevelopment rather than just a human experience?
100%. I think people need to also realize that, guys, life is not a group project at all. Life is not a group project. So what works for one person might not necessarily work for another. So in order to truly feel like you are progressing or to feel like you're developing, it has to be aligned with your own personal goals. It has to be aligned again with wellness. You have to be well. You have to be at your best to do your best. And thirdly, it's very important to understand balance. You need to be balanced in your life. You know what I mean? In your work and life balance. So what people need to do is they need to check in with their bodies. You need to check in with your body. You need to check in with your goal. And you need to realize that progress is literally being better than yesterday. It could also mean being more rested than yesterday. It could mean, feeling more recovered than yesterday. It could mean going to the gym a little bit more often. You know what I mean? Just holistically being better is progressing. So I think what we tend to do is look at social media and think, oh, this person is doing ABC. Forgetting that we're only seeing a highlight of that person. That person could be sleeping 8 hours.
Sure.
But you're seeing, a 1 minute clip and thinking, I'm not doing enough. And remember, comparison is the thief of joy. Have your own personal goals, go for them, and rest.
Sure.
Rest is not a luxury, but an obligation. You need to rest.
I love that. And I think people have missed the whole art of scheduling their lives, right? You think you have to do everything in one day, everything in 1 week. And I think spreading things out easily and planning your life is not as bad as just trying to fit in anything randomly in your life. Because if you do schedule things, I feel like that's where you kind of know what the priorities are and what's actually a least priority. I know this week I hadn't done my garden for a whole month and I was just doing some slow gardening and I gave myself 3 days to finish the garden. I wasn't like doing it all in once. I was kind of like, you know what, today I'm going to just rake the leaves. That's all I'm doing for today. I'll leave it here and come back tomorrow and I'll do the collection of the leaves. Tomorrow I'll water the plants. It feels like it's so much better when you just don't put that pressure and you stretch things out a little bit more because there's no timeline for anything.
I actually started reading the book Atomic Habits, and what that author actually says is that sometimes goals delay your happiness, So it's very important to have goals, but to not focus on achieving the goal because that delays your happiness, but rather to concentrate on your action steps, to concentrate on what am I going to do today to achieve that goal in 4 months' time. So the goal is no longer the priority, but your everyday habits, your everyday action plans become, the focal point. And what that does is it helps you fall in love with your progress. It helps you fall in love with what you're actually doing. Because when you're constantly chasing a goal, number one, the goalpost always moves, because life always changes. We see different things on social media platforms, we talk to different people, and it literally forces us to think we're not dreaming big enough, we're not doing enough. But when you're falling in love with your action plans and you're falling in love with the process, I promise you become so much happier because as long as you're better than yesterday, you see the progress.
Yeah.
So I think people just need to stop, romanticizing not resting, romanticizing this hustle culture, romanticizing unhealthy habits, like only sleeping 4 hours a day. That's not healthy.
Sure.
Not seeing friends and family because we're hustling. That's not healthy. We're taking away so much from the human experience of just being, and doing, enough, and that's fine.
Yeah, Kgaogelo, we need to take a break quickly, and then we'll come back because the pressures of life for real. People are not just having side houses because they don't need money. Some people really need that cash to pay real bills. How do you navigate that balance there? Because that's the difficult part, taking care of the kids while you have to do also other things. And it's just a whole lot of things that people are adulting with. But hey, it's not so easy. So we'll chat a little bit around that after the break. We'll speak about the personal development fatigue. Where is it going? How far do you take it? But when do you also find rest to actually just tap out of all of that?
Africa, it's time to learn the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K,
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Get set and be ready to go. On the move with Palesa Tau and Benjamin Moshatama.
We continue with our becoming conversation of the day. And in this feature, we usually speak a lot about, how to get better, how to do things better, how to develop emotionally, personally, also in your career. But today we're taking a step back and we're talking about personal development fatigue. We continue this conversation with life coach Kgaogelo Photoane. Kgaogelo, it is a lot. The world is a lot. And sometimes, when you think about all the things you need to do, it can get to a point where it's quite overwhelming. How do we identify that we may be experiencing personal development fatigue?
I think it's important, like I said again, to listen to your body. So when you start feeling overwhelmed by the tasks that you have to do, that is a big, big, big indication, because more than anything, we need to love what we're doing. We need to fall in love with the progress. So when you start feeling super exhausted just from the thought of it, that's when there could be some kind of burnout here. When you have decreased motivation, because obviously if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not really motivated anymore. When you feel like you're pushing yourself with the right amount of effort, but mentally you stop seeing the progress. Again, that could be you feeling super overwhelmed. When you have difficulty falling asleep, when you have difficulty now eating, when you have difficulty resting without feeling bad, when you have difficulty, feeling like you are not stagnant, those are big, big indicators of, the fact that you're fatigued. And it's a big indicator to just stop, rest, and reset.
Because many of us don't have the luxury to stop, because you're like, I don't want to keep doing things with my family, doesn't mean your family goes away. Your children don't just disappear. Your bills don't just disappear at the whim because you are fatigued. And even some of the things, your friends and that, hockey game in your new hobby that you have to take on, you've already paid for it. And now you're thinking about the money as well. When you're already so used to all these personal development endeavors, it's hard to also quiet down. I always say we're called human beings for a reason, but it seems like most of us are being human doings instead of human beings. How do you get back to that being part of being a human? Just be, without or everything, just be yourself. How do you quiet down the noise when you feel that personal development fatigue?
I think it's important to realize and truly understand that if you don't stop to take care of your body will force you to stop to take care of it. So, a lot of people fall sick. A lot of people start having, depression and anxiety, because those are key elements of burnout. So you will be forced to stop by your body if you don't stop by yourself to take care of your body. So we need to really stop making rest seem like a luxury. Rest is not a luxury. We need to make it rest. So what I do personally, and this has worked because I have, I think, about 4 jobs and I'm a single mother, as I've shared before on your channel. I schedule my entire life. I schedule it, and I schedule rest.
Sure.
Then you don't feel like you're not doing something you're supposed to be doing. So rest for me is a task. It's part of the things I need to do. So if I'm resting, you cannot get me to do anything, because that is me time. I always say also that I belong to myself first, number one. I belong to myself before I'm a mom, before I'm an employee, before I'm a business owner, before I'm a daughter, before I'm anything. I belong to me first. And the people in my life and the things in my life can only benefit from me being at my best. So if I'm not at my best, no one benefits. So rather I take time and pour into the person that matters the most, which is me. And then I can pour into other people. We need to schedule rest and schedule your other things too. If you know you need to show up for people, schedule 2 days in the whole month. Go, okay, these days are for my friends and family. Schedule time for your child. Schedule, work. And again, schedule rest. Girl, I will sleep 8 hours every day, no matter what.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
so
care what is
beautiful.
happening. The world could be in you.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to do that.
Yeah, the thing about sleep, people think it's an option. It's actually very good for you. And I love that you keep repeating that guys, sleep is not a luxury. It is a must, right? Also, I think we content a lot, man. We love consuming these content, personal development books, 5 steps to this. There's always a book that you can read on self-development, but I don't think we action it enough, right? Where you take one book and you read it and then try to implement it. Don't go find another one. Stick with this one that you have right now.
Because in between the book, there's a challenge as well that you saw on social media. 30-day challenge, 90-day challenge.
Exactly. So I think sometimes we take for granted the fact that one book is already a heavy toll to take on. Just try to implement that thing in that one book. Don't try to find another book now to excel in when you haven't mastered the first.
Are you still there?
So, yes, I am. I more than anything, I think everything is very, very contextual. People need to realize that the books that we're reading are contextual. There are people that were born into money that don't need to work that hard. There are people that have a lot of help that don't need to work that hard. You need to contextualize your life and look at what you really need. If you read in books, not everything that is in the book is for you. You need to have your own goals, like I've always said, and you need to pick out the nuggets that work for you and implement those. When you're watching a podcast, when you're watching, someone on social media, please don't take everything, because your life is not a replica of that person's life. What works for you might not work for them, and what works for them might not work for you. So it's so important to align everything that you're consuming to your own personal needs, to align it to your own personal goals, to align it with who you are, your values, your morals. So much goes into just taking in, everything, because you need to sit down and go, who am I? What do I value? What are my morals? What are my goals? What's important to me? You can't just take in everything. You could be listening to Elon Musk and taking in things that he does, and you have 2 different moral standpoints. Doesn't make sense. So people really need to be intentional about consumption, and you can now curate your social media. You don't need to follow everyone. I don't follow a lot of influencers. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't align with my brand. It doesn't align with who I want to be. And I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, but I don't take all the advice. Some things I'm like, that's cool, not for me. And certain things I'm like, ooh, this person is a single mother. That could work, because why? There's alignment of sorts. So it's important to really sit down before taking everything, because then you feel like you're not doing enough. You feel like, you're not working hard enough. You're sleeping on yourself. I know a lot of people say that, you're sleeping on yourself. You're not sleeping on yourself, you're tired.
You're just sleeping.
You're sleeping. Just sleep, guys.
All right. We're going to have to wrap it up there.
Kgaogelo, you love your sleep.
I love that.
I relate.
You're not sleeping on yourself. You're just sleeping, and that's okay. Okay, where can we find you quickly on the socials, Kgaogelo, before we go?
Again, TikTok, Instagram at Kgosi Life Coaching, and at Kgaogelo. Again, I can't give out my numbers, but my email address is kgosilifecoaching@gmail.com.
Thank you so much.
My website is coming soon, so
nice.
Yeah.
We look forward to that, and that new development in your life as well.
Personal development, excitement.
That's life.
3 years. So
I love that.
okay.
I love that. Life coach Kgaogelo Photoane. We're unpacking self-development fatigue. Join us in this conversation at Channel Africa 1. It's 10:30 Central Africa time. Musibudi Makura is back with our latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.